Hello, Gene Schwimmer here, and welcome to me. And well, it looks like the beard needs a little trim there. What do you think? Okay, maybe by the time I do the next video. As usual, I wish I could do these videos more often. Would love to do them full time. So you can help me and help yourself to get great videos by doing the thumbs up and sharing the videos and just, I don't know, a billboard in Times Square. It would cost a lot of money, but trust me, it would be worth it. So much I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about government unions. I had something to say about that. And then there's the latest news as I'm recording this on a Friday evening. Donald Trump earlier in the day, the blank hole comment about third world countries. I wanted to talk about that, but I don't have a whole lot of time, and that's a bigger subject, and I'm going to take a little bit of time to think about it, and then I'm going to vlog about it later. So today I want to talk about, well, one of the things I try to do in these videos, I ask questions that nobody else seems to be asking, and I try to answer them sometimes too, but questions that nobody's asking that to me would seem to be obvious. So today we go back to the sunny Middle East, and I want to talk about something that, well, I think people don't answer this question or even ask it because they already know the answer, and they don't want to admit it, or they're in denial and they don't dare to ask the question because then they would have to answer it. But here's the question. It gets me also to the heart of the whole so-called dispute. It's not a dispute, and I'm going to talk about this in a future vlog. It's a matter of winners and losers. The Arabs in Judea and Samaria, Palestinians in Gaza, they want to destroy Israel. That's their goal. And I think a lot of the world is acting as their enablers because either they want Israel destroyed or they just, well, yeah, I think that's what it is because this is so obvious. But here's the question. You hear from the Palestinians over and over and over again that they want a state, their own state. And presumably this state would be beside Israel. And they insist the border has to be, actually it's the 1949 armistice line. They call it the 67 borders, but it's actually the 1949 armistice line. That's where the two sides ended up in 1948, 1949, when the original Israeli War of Independence happened. So this is the problem that I have. On the one hand, they're saying that they want their own state. On the other hand, as everybody knows, the maps in the Palestinian Authority, the maps of the area, the geographical maps, and in the Gaza Strip, they show only one state. They don't show two states. They show one state going, and they call it Palestine, going from the river to the sea, from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. So the question I have, number one, is if they want a separate state and they want a state along the 1967 lines, or the 1949 armistice lines, why do their maps not show that? Why do the maps show one state from the river to the sea? That's question number one. And other people, well, I hope some people have asked that before, but here's the one question that nobody seems to ask, which is, do they want two states or do they want one big state? So let's say that those maps that show one state are the accurate maps. This is what they want. So number one, why are they talking about two states when their maps show one state? But number two, what is their problem with settlements? They hate these settlements. They want them dismantled. But why is that a problem if there's going to be one state, presumably with Arabs and Jews living anywhere between the river and the sea that they want? So right now you have about 1.5 million Arabs living in Israel on the Israeli side of the armistice line, and then in Judea and Samaria and Gaza you have, well, it's all Arabs, and you have no Jews except for the settlements. I think there's about 500,000 Jews in the Israelis in the settlements, and these are all in Judea and Samaria. There are none in Gaza. So the question is, why is that a problem? If you have 1.5 million Arabs in Israel right now, then presumably you could have 1.5 million Jews on the other side in this Palestinian, or well, in this one state that they hope to have. But that's another question. If you have a separate state, Palestine, why can Jews not live there? There are 1.5 million Arabs in Israel, so why not Jews in Palestine? And if you have Jews in Palestine, they should have the same rights as the Arabs, correct? They should be able to vote, run for public office, so on and so forth. They've been also adamant when they're talking about two states. Sometimes their maps show one state. They talk about two states. They don't want any Jews living in there. They don't want any Jews living in a future Palestine, and they want the Jews already on that side too, because that's what we're talking. We're not talking about Israeli. I mean, there are Israeli Arabs, Israeli Christians, but they mean Jews. That's what they mean. So I'm just going to use Jews. So they want no Jews to live there, and they even have a death penalty. I think they change it now, just life in prison or whatever, for selling land to a Jew. And they're also, if I could dig up the story, I'll put a link to it. But there's actually it's in Jerusalem under Israeli control, so at least this priest does not have to worry about a death penalty. I mean, unless if somebody tries to assassinate him, which is not beyond the possibility. He's the patriarch, I'm sorry, I don't know his title offhand, but he's the patriarch of property that the church owns in eastern Jerusalem, and he agreed to sell some of the property to Jews because they need the money to support their church, just like the Catholic Church here owns a lot of property and will sometimes sell some of their properties. That's what this priest did, and the Arabs are angry about this because this priest is selling this land in East Jerusalem to Jews. And again, why is that a problem if they're talking about one state where presumably everybody would live? And I think the answer is pretty obvious, and this is what nobody wants to admit. Their maps show that on the one hand, one state, but on the other hand, two states, and they're saying that they don't want any Jews in a future Palestine. So what does that mean for one state between the river and the sea, between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean? Obviously, they mean no Jews at all. No Jews between the river and the sea. They want to start with, I don't want to make this too long, I could go into this in a future vlog, but the sticking point in trying to reach an agreement, as Clinton did at Camp David, has never been about land. They would always take, especially when they get 90, I think it was 97% of the land they wanted. The problem has always been that there has to be a clause in any agreement that this is the final agreement, that these are the final borders. You don't get any more land beyond what is agreed to in the treaty. So what their plan is, they want to have a state temporarily, but all that means is they want to get as much of the land as they can as a step towards getting the whole thing. And when they get the whole thing, then bye-bye Jews. There won't be any Jews there. That's why, and I actually would not give much hope for the Christians either. I mean, they're in Israel, the Christian population since the rebirth of an independent Jewish state, it's tripled in Israel, but they're practically extinct outside of Israel, all over the Middle East, and definitely in Gaza, definitely in Judea and Samaria. And this is another topic I'm going to talk about later. But as usual, it's hard for me to end. I enjoy talking to everybody. I'm going to end there. But that is my question, and that is my answer. I think the Palestinians, they want to have another Arab state with no Jews in it, except for maybe a small persecuted minority that they can persecute. And, well, somebody else has another idea, then they can answer this question for me. Why do the maps show one state called Palestine between the river and the sea at the same time as they're telling the international community that they want two states? Okay, I see a contradiction there. That's it. I told you at the beginning, I can't hurt to remind you, do the thumbs up and share this, and I hope to see you again soon. As soon as I can find the time to do it, I'm going to do another one. That's it. Bye.
You got plan, darling?
I always got plan. They don't ever work, but I always got one.